Our area's most beautiful properties deserve the finest realtors. Meeks Realty Group. We focus on buying and selling residential and commercial properties throughout the tri-state area. Contact Meeks Realty Group online at meeks.us or call 304-440-1101.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 580 WCHS, its employees, or WVRC Media. From the studios of WVRC Media, the country, the United States of America, the state, West Virginia, the city, Charleston. This is the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live. And your host.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
He's kind of a big deal.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Dave Allen.
And a good Wednesday morning to you from the Par-Mar Store Studio. Welcome to the show. Ryan Nicholson is our producer today. Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly, hotline 304-345-5858. Fruit Pharmacy text 304-935-5008. We do the show from the Par-Mar Store Studio. If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon. A reminder, the Par-Mar Scary Creek location just off the St. Albans exit of I-64 has reopened. And tomorrow, that's today, Par-Mar is going to be teaming up with their sister station here, Superstar Country 96.1 KWS, to give away free Tim McGraw tickets at the Scary Creek location of Par-Mar. Rob Reel, my man, will be there from noon to 2 tomorrow. Your chance to win those free Tim McGraw tickets and some other stuff going on there at Superstar Country 96.1 KWS and Par-Mar stores team up tomorrow at their location just off the St. Albans exit of I-64 at Scary Creek. If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you by Thornhill Auto Group, including Thornhill Toyota. Toyota's national sales event continues. Come check out the 2024 Camry, the Corolla, the all-new Crown, or the new 2024 RAV4 or Highlander gas. Qualified buyers there can get 3.99% APR for up to 60 months. See Thornhill for all details. Visit on the Thornhill Motor Mile, US 119 in Chabonville, or online, ThornhillToyotaWV.com. Thornhill, let's go places. Coming up a little bit later on the show, we're going to have Rick Cavender stop by. Rick, of course, is with Charleston Urban Works, and they recently completed a survey as it has to do with business here in the Kanawha Valley. And Rick asked for a little time to come on and talk about that, so we're going to get into that coming up a little bit later on. Also scheduled to have with us candidate for magistrate in Kanawha County, Tressie Cabell. Tressie was scheduled to be here last week and had to postpone because of a family emergency. And as of yet, I have not heard from her this morning. Talked to her yesterday. She said, I'm on my way, or that she'll be there tomorrow, I should say, which is today. And so I've reached out to her repeated times this morning and haven't heard from her. So if she comes in, I got her scheduled till about 9:20 this morning. So, Tressie, if you happen to be listening right now, you're late. I'd like to give the opportunity for our candidates to come in and be on the show, but got to respect my time, too. So come on in. And by the way, I will throw this out there that if you are a candidate for office and you would like time on the Dave Allen Show here on 580 Live, all you got to do is just drop me an email. It's the best way to get a hold of me. Email address is dave.allen@wvradio.com, and I will allow any candidate for office, local, national, whatever, to come on the show. Just simply drop me an email, dave.allen@wvradio.com. It is on a first-come, first-served basis, so keep that in mind. We do our best to try to get all the candidates on that want on the show, but again, it's a first-come, first-served basis. And what happens a lot of times, I've been doing the show for 3 years, now almost 4 years, what happens is a lot of candidates, so I want to go on the last week of the election, or maybe when early voting starts and whatever. Well, that's not always possible because we only have so many slots to go around. So just get with me, and I will do my best to get you on the show. Coming up on tomorrow's show, I don't have anybody that's going to be running for office. I do have a couple of senators that are already in office, one on the national level and one on the state level. State Senator and Senate Finance Chair Eric Tarr is going to be on the show tomorrow. Also, U.S. Senator Joe Manchin is going to be on the show tomorrow. Joe, of course, opting not to run for re-election, saying also he's not going to do a third-party candidacy. I'm not sure what Joe wants to talk about, but he reached out to me and said, I'd like to come on the show, so he's always welcome. So Joe Manchin will be on the show tomorrow. Also, tomorrow is opening day of the Major League Baseball season, and it's something as a baseball fan that I look forward to every year. So the Cincinnati Reds can yet again disappoint me. But maybe this is the year. We'll see. So what I'm going to do tomorrow is there's two guys in this building, actually three, that are probably bigger Reds fans than I am. One of them is Brian Bradley, who we call Wolfie around here. But I have the other two on the show tomorrow. Jeff Jenkins, our news director for Metro News, and Dale Cooper, the host of Hotline along with Dave Weekly in the afternoon. Both those guys, hardcore Reds fans. So tomorrow's opening day with the parade and everything that goes along with it in Cincinnati. So I'm going to have Coop and Jeff on the show to talk about it tomorrow as we get ready for opening day. Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you in part by Huston's Pizza. Get an 18-inch pepperoni pizza and a pizza bowl, only $22.99. Find your nearest Huston's at hustonspizza.com for delivery, pickup, or for dine-in. Rick Cavender has just walked in the studio this morning, so I'm going to knock out a couple of things real quick. Rick's going to go on a little early. He didn't know that you were going to go on early, but you are going to go on a little bit early. So just hang out with me just 1 second. And while I do, I want to get into this. I was looking at. Are you a big sports fan, Rick?
On and off, depends.
Okay,
yeah.
I was looking at this morning, and I think Hoppy may have touched on a little bit yesterday. This Iowa and WVU women's basketball game in the NCAA tournament Monday night. It averaged 4.9 million viewers on ESPN, the most watched women's NCAA tournament game ever outside the Final Four.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that is absolutely amazing.
I was getting text about it at like 11:30 p.m.
Yeah, I actually watched the game. I've started watching it in the second quarter. I was away doing some other stuff, but when I got home, I watched the second half. Most of the second quarter and all the second half. It was a good game. West Virginia, I think, put up a gallant effort. There's a lot of people, and I heard Hoppy talking about this yesterday. A little upset about Caitlin Clark, who's the phenom for Iowa. That her attitude on the court left a lot to be desired. That at one point she was seen mouthing the words "shut the F up." Don't know if that was toward WVU fans and there were a lot of them there in Iowa, or to the opposing team or whatever. But she was seen doing it. You know, I will say this. I won't ask you to comment on this, but I will say this about that. And hear me out. Would there be as much controversy if she were a guy?
Well, I'll speak as a parent because both my boys play football and my oldest plays baseball too. And sportsmanship is a huge deal, right?
It is. And
that's something that I make sure to convey to him off the field, and I know his coaches do. And that should be taught really early. Anger gets the best of all of us. Yep. And we're all human, but I think that's something to keep in mind. And I'm not going to comment whether or not she was taught that.
Right? Yeah, I don't.
But I'll just say it's important.
It is very important. But my point is I think that, and again, I've not followed her career throughout I know that she is the hottest thing going in sports in general right now. Forget about the gender. I mean, she's the hottest thing going in sports. I will say, though, that if Michael Jordan would have done that back in the day, it would have probably have been seen as he's just tenacious. He's fighting.
How many times have we watched sports on TV and seen guys mouth not the most appropriate things, but we know what they're saying.
Well,
I mean, that's, to me, I don't even...
Look what Travis Kelce did in the Super Bowl.
Right.
He pushed an elderly guy.
Right.
I thought he should have been suspended for that. I don't care who he's dating. I think he should have been suspended for that. You don't put your hands on a coach. And I will also say it would have been I hate to play woulda, coulda, shoulda. That would have been Antonio Bryant or Antonio Brown out there that pushed the coach. It would have been a different narrative.
Yeah, if we're talking about perception of the public and the media, I mean, I would agree. It does seem a little lopsided, but what do you do?
What do you do? All right. So I'll tell you what we are going to do. And I apologize for Tracy Cabell not being here today. Don't know what the situation is, but I did have Rick Cavender scheduled. I'm going to go to break. When I come back, I'm going to talk to Rick about what he's here to talk about, and that is this survey that was done by Charleston Urban Works.
Working on it,
it's a work in progress. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you by Fresh Air. Folks, Fresh Air will change your heating and cooling air filters for your home, your retail or industrial business, restaurant, church, whatever, and they can build custom-built filters for you. 24-hour emergency service available too. Visit freshairfilters.us or call 304-440-1104 for Fresh Air, because everyone deserves fresh air. We're going to take a break. We're back after this from the Par Mar Store studio on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Are you a physical therapy assistant and looking for an opportunity in orthopedics, wellness, and athletic care? If so, Generations Physical Therapy is offering flexible work hours and an upbeat atmosphere. With 7 convenient locations, Generations may have a job designed for you. Visit generationspt.com.
Thanks to the leadership of State Senator Eric Nelson, West Virginia's economy is stronger than ever. State Senator Eric Nelson helped control government spending and then passed the largest tax cut in state history. The Coalition for a Stronger West Virginia would like to thank State Senator Eric Nelson for standing up for our families. West Virginians have more jobs and lower taxes, all due to State Senator Eric Nelson, paid for by the Coalition for a Stronger West Virginia, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Hey, aren't you that chef that's running for magistrate?
I am the chef that's running for magistrate. I'm incumbent magistrate Gary Sheff, S-H-E-F-F. I'm the only chef on the ballot. I'd appreciate your vote and the opportunity to continue to serve Kanawha County as Division 9 magistrate.
This message is paid for by the Committee to Keep Magistrate Gary Sheff, Greg Silverman, Treasurer.
Thank you for your support. I'm Gary Sheff, and I approve this message.
Buckle up. Adventure will never be the same on the Thornhill Motor Mile. Ready, set, go. Hey, it's Sydney inviting you to the new Thornhill Toyota for our amazing deals during the Toyota National Sales Event. Just imagine you in a new 2024 Toyota Camry, Corolla, or all-new Crown. Or step up with a Toyota SUV like a new 2024 RAV4 or Highlander Gas, where you can enjoy 3.99% financing for 60 months. So many possibilities. Ready, set, go to the new Thornhill Toyota. The Thornhill Motor Mile, US 119 in Chapmanville. Click or come by ThornhillToyotaWV.com and let's go places. Must qualify for all offers through Toyota Financial expires April 1st, 2024. Shop Thornhill to get yours.
It is 9:19. Welcome to the show. Ryan Nicholson is our producer today. Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, presented in part by Brightway Insurance, a MAGE agency of Tays Valley, locally owned and operated by an Air Force veteran and a former teacher. When it comes to insurance or everything you've been looking for, Brightway offers expertise from real local agents. Not a 1-800 number, it's an actual local number. 304-814-2509, 304-814-2509 for John and Sherry Mays of Brightway, the Mays agency of Tays Valley. Text says, I wouldn't schedule that candidate again. Well, 0 for 2, so probably not. Probably not. Rick Cavender is here from Charleston Urban Works. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I sent you a text and said I was a little bit nervous about my first guest not showing, and said, will you come in and you and I talk sports? So there you go.
No, it worked out. I love
Sport ball.
Sports ball.
We talked to sports ball.
Yeah.
So you're here on behalf of Charleston Urban Works, and you're working on a survey of some kind. Talk about the survey.
Yeah, we've been working on this for a little bit now. We got a grant a while back to hire a consultant to help us form and shape the survey. We initially wanted to do this actually before the pandemic. And then, of course, as we all know, as we all did, we had to change all of our strategies and everything when the pandemic hit, and had to really just focus on our existing businesses the best we knew how. And we're finally at that place. Especially, I've been on to talk about our restructuring, our rebranding. You know, we've changed the name of our organization and restructured and opened up more opportunities for more folks to get involved than even before. And we're viewing this small business survey project as sort of a foundational aspect of the work that we're going to be doing over the next 3 years. And so this is actually the first time publicly we've talked about it. We feel like we're ready to go ahead and start distributing it. We'll be starting that process here over the next couple weeks. We're going to be focusing on our focus districts, the east end and the west side of Charleston. And this is really something we've never done before. The questions that are in this survey, of course, it's all confidential. When we collect it from the business owners, it will stay, with us. It will be only used for aggregate reporting purposes. But we're really trying to dig deep and find out the state of the union, if you will, of our small business community. But then also the needs. What are their needs? Because we can't do our work as an organization unless we have that really important information gathered from the folks that are living it every single day.
So how will you go about getting this information to the businesses?
Well, we have really strong partnerships. We have several strong partnerships, one of which is the City of Charleston. We've been working with their small business liaison for working on strategies there. Audrey Kahn, she's absolutely incredible. If you haven't met her yet, I highly recommend it. She's doing great work for the City of Charleston. And she and I have been kind of talking about how we can work together and sharing strategies on how to get that out. We're going to be using our usual methods of social media, but this time we're actually going to be going, frankly, door to door door. Part of what I'm going to be doing is taking my laptop into businesses, scheduling time. It takes about, I would say, about 10 minutes to do the survey, and I'm going to actually sit with them and help them fill it out. It's a 3-page survey. It's actually it'll be available online, not just in PDF form, but also online, and we'll be able to collect that data. So we're asking questions. How does your business look now versus 4 years ago? Both from a general revenue standpoint, how many part-time, full-time employees do you currently have? And then we have this whole section about, rank your needs. And so that's really kind of separated into 5 main sections. So if you're looking at capital improvement projects, like from your perspective, what would you like to see out your front door, right? So that's gateway welcoming installation, recycling receptacles, which we already have. We already did that project. But wayfinding signage, more public art, which we've done several of those installations over the years. Then as far as public safety and hospitality is concerned, do you want to see more presence of maybe public safety officers eventually in your neighborhood? Visitor assistance information, lighting. You know that we're working on a huge lighting project right now. Marketing and advertising. What type of advertising and marketing do you want to see, not just for your business, but for the district that your business is in? Promotional materials, holiday decorations. As far as maintenance goes, do you want to see more street and sidewalk cleaning, which I know our city does a great job of keeping our sidewalks clean in our districts, but is there anything else that you could see there as a need? Graffiti removal. Our city, again, does great work of identifying those needs, but, is that something that particularly your business is looking at? Landscaping. And then, of course, looking at what types of services do they want to see around them. A lot of times when you have a restaurant in the small business community, you have a restaurant, they want to see some more retail around them because it's going to bring people in to shop, but then they're going to say, hey, I'm going to go get lunch next door, right? So like we want to kind of get a feel from them as to what they want to see more of around them, because that's going to help us better identify recruiting needs. Mm-hmm. So, it's very comprehensive. And then we give them a chance at the end to consider what do they feel the 3 strongest assets are in their particular district, changes they'd like to see, and then other types of improvements that maybe weren't addressed in the survey. So, we foresee this being about a 2 to 3 month process to collect this data. We're going to be asking some volunteers in our organization to help with this. I, as the staff person, like I said, I'm going to be going around collecting that information, and we're really this is something we've never really done at this level before. Mm-hmm. So this, again, we see this as a foundational aspect of the work we're going to be doing over the next 3 years. Rick
Cavender from Charleston Urban Works is here. How many businesses are we talking about approximately? Give me a ballpark figure.
Well, Dave, I can tell you just in the gateway area of the West Side, which is what everyone calls the Elk City District, mm-hmm. There are over, I think, 80 businesses there. You would never guess that. But in that square area, you're looking at over 80 businesses just right there. And that's just a few blocks. So we're looking at probably over 200 businesses total that we want to reach out to.
It's a lot of walking,
the east
buddy.
end and the west side. That's right. And of course, like I said, we'll be doing some online distribution as well.
Right. Yeah.
And we know this is going to take a little time. And this may spark other partnerships with other districts. We don't know yet, but we want to do our part to make sure that we are considering the full needs of the small business community in a way that maybe hasn't been done before.
I'm interested to see what the answers are going to be when you ask these businesses, Rick, how has your business changed in 4 years? Because let's think about this. You and I think about where we were this time 4 years ago. I hadn't started doing this show yet, but March of 2020 was when the whole world came to an end, effectively shut down everything. We will be literally, Rick, decades recovering from the damage that was done from this. I'm not talking about the health damage. I'm talking about just the economic damage. Right. These businesses trying to get back on their feet again. And then I just think there was probably more changes to the world of business in that 4 years than probably the previous maybe decade or two. Probably the advent of computers and smartphones was probably the last biggest change. But when you think about that, we went from these businesses, many of them having to completely shut down and let go of staff. And then, okay, well, we can do for a restaurant or maybe other businesses as well, we can do curbside pickup.
Right.
We can allow certain numbers. We have this section. We have this part sectioned off. We're only having these people here. we're changing, we're using plastic forks or the way we did before or whatever. It's amazing when you think about it.
It affected every industry differently, right? So we, of course, office buildings, we've seen so many.
And I'll get into that a little bit later on, but go ahead.
We've seen so many of them just permanently go either remote or just downsize how much space they need, right? Because maybe half their staff they have taken remote, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
We've seen that happen. We saw those effects happen a little later here in Charleston that I think you might have read about nationally. I think COVID, as far as COVID is concerned, that hit nationally almost right when in the middle of the pandemic.
True, yeah.
We saw some of those effects maybe a year and a half after. I don't think we can blame it fully on COVID. I think that some of the business closures we've seen have just been from personal decisions those business owners have made, and that's up to them.
Yeah.
That's their business. But so that's one example of industry. But the restaurant industry, the conversations I was having with restaurateurs at the time, whenever it was all curbside pickup, you got to remember. Those businesses, especially the ones who serve alcohol, who have, especially the beer industry, that's where they were making their money. Well, if someone's coming in for curbside pickup and they can't physically be inside, they're not. That restaurant is not making the money off of the beer sales at the bar or at a table for that matter. They're just making money off of those pickup orders. So I mean that was a huge cut in revenue for them at the time. Now of course that's we're talking a couple years ago. Things have bounced back, but most of what we've experienced in our districts for the most part, and again I don't want to speak too broadly, but what we've experienced is just the personal decisions of the business owner to move out of state, go on to their next venture. It really, in a lot of cases, we didn't see folks say there's just not enough foot traffic down here, so we can't keep our doors open. We didn't really see a whole lot of that because what we've learned is if you build it, they will come. If you put a desirable restaurant that has a good product in an empty space, it will gain traction and it will become a successful business. We've seen that happen time and time again.
Talking to Rick Cavender again from Charleston Urban Works. Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Live Healthy West Virginia, presented by WVU Medicine. Live Healthy West Virginia tackles pressing health issues like heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, RSV, and more. It's a podcast offering insights into medical breakthroughs and preventative care featuring WVU Medicine's expert physicians aimed at fostering healthier lifestyles in and beyond West Virginia. It's a valuable resource for all. Discover the latest episodes on WVMetronews.com under the podcast menu and start your journey towards better health today. We'll go back to the survey a little bit later on, but I want to ask you about a couple of other things, Rick. Now that we're into the warm weather months, how's the business climate looking in Charleston? I know your group, the Charleston Urban Works and the Downtown Charleston Association, you just had the St. Patrick's Pub Crawl. That was fun. We got Regatta, of course, coming up. Foam at the Dome is going to be another big activity. Dirty Birds are going to be starting their season. I had somebody on from the Dirty Birds yesterday. How are we looking heading into spring?
Well, I think you mentioned the Capitol Crawl, and that I think was an indicator of how things are going to be with the weather turning. We had over 550 people buy tickets to our event. This is the first time I came on to talk about this. First time we attempted partnering with another group to expand our existing event, right? So this was the first time we ever attempted the Capitol Crawl. I can tell you, I don't want to name businesses, one-on-one, but I'll say we had a couple businesses come to us and say we had a record night that night. Literally, some businesses that have been open for 10 to 15 years that participated had record nights that night. So obviously, the event itself was a success, but beyond that, it shows the buying power of our consumers here in this region. We had people come from not just Kanawha County, but surrounding counties. And I actually talked to some folks who came from out of state. They were planning on coming in anyway, and they saw this event online, and they said, we're going to try this out. And we got to show them the best Charleston had to offer that night. The city was definitely alive.
And that was really, if you go back and you think about that, that was an all-day thing. But I mean, you had that event at night, but earlier in the day, I was over at the Capitol Market over there
and it was packed.
For the green chili shootout. I think I saw you a couple of times over there as well. So I mean, it was a busy day in Charleston that day.
Huge day, and beyond all that, I mean, we're seeing people kind of embrace the city in a way. The next morning, I went out for brunch the next morning, and that was actually St. Patrick's Day. Every single place downtown was packed. I mean, it was so good to see it on a Sunday morning to afternoon, and of course, POTA I think has helped that as well. People can walk around with their cups from business to business, and be out on the street in that designated district. I think that's helped a lot too. Hats off to the city for pushing that and for getting that passed. We're seeing sort of a new version, if you will, of our city that's just really promising, really exciting. And I think the event that we held last Saturday showed that there is a huge demand for folks of all ages. We saw every age you can think of, from 21 and up, participating in this, and it was great. It was really great.
Well, and that was one of the great things about that's the first time I had been to the Green Chili Shootout over at Capitol Market with Evan and the folks over there. And of course, there was a fundraising aspect of that with the Parkinson's Association, George Manahan's group, and to see, not only was it about the chili and everything that goes along with it, but you had the wrestling show and the whole deal over there. You had the DJ spinning music over there. So it was like I said, it was just a great day in Charleston. It really was.
I'll say really quickly an anecdote. I was having a conversation with a friend last weekend about perception of the city you grew up in versus cities you visit. And I always do my best when I travel to take in as much as I can. But I also, when I'm here, try my hardest to view through the eyes of a visitor. Because as you know, growing up here, you and I both grew up in this region, you get used to things, and sometimes it may feel stagnant just because you grew up here. It's just a natural thing you may feel. But I can tell you, people that are coming in from out of town to here, they see a city that's alive. And they see a region that's alive. There's not just here in Charleston. There's things going on in the entire valley. And we sometimes lose sight of that as people who've grown up here. And I think it's really important to take a step back and look, there's something for someone to do every single weekend. And I can tell you, with June coming up, you mentioned Fun with the Dome, the whole month of June, there's the entire region is going to be alive. You have the first whole week, you have Pride Week. Next is Fun with the Dome, our event on June the 8th. Then you have Festival right after that for the next 2 weeks after that. And then the Regatta follows that. So you're talking from June to the beginning of July. That entire 5 week period. And
every community around here has got something going on.
That's right.
South Charleston has their summer festival. I'm a little partial to where I live in Putnam County. We got the West Virginia Food Truck Festival.
Oh, that's right.
Coming up at the month of April. That's an entire day worth of food trucks and music.
They've done such a good job with that.
And so you got that going on. As I said, St. Albans is killing it right now with the Yak Fest and the whole deal in St. Albans.
Well, and they're adding more and more. I mean, they did their own St. Patrick. I think we talked about that.
Yep.
And hats off to them. I mean, they've really stepped up.
And they've done that for a couple of years, I think. There, but they really stepped it up this year.
Oh yeah, and just the aesthetics of Main Street in St. Albans. I mean, look how much that's changed, and the businesses that have opened there. I mean, that is a destination now.
Oh yeah.
So it isn't just certainly wonderful things happening here in the core, right, in the capital city and downtown. But there's something really for everyone, all ages.
I'm a big believer, Rick, and I don't know how you feel about it. I'm a big believer in this whole Advantage Valley thing.
Oh yeah.
What's good, and especially now that we've got everything going on out at Shawnee Park, where you're bringing in thousands of people. That what's good for what's going on in Dunbar is also going to help out downtown Charleston, and it's going to help out Tays Valley. It's in Barboursville. I mean, it's amazing. All these great things are going on, and I think it's a really good point what you said. As somebody who grew up in the region, I grew up in southern West Virginia. When I first heard them talking about the Hatfield-McCoy Trail in the 90s, I thought, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Who is going to come to southern West Virginia to ride four-wheelers in the mountains? Somewhere in the neighborhoods of 70 different countries have come down there to ride those trails, and they're still doing it, and it's saved towns like some of these smaller areas like Gilbert and Mingo County. I mean, Matewan, it's all and I say that to say that sometimes, as you said, to your point, we have a tendency to just kind of want to poo-poo these ideas and say, oh, that's stupid. Nobody. Well, we don't view ourselves like other people view us.
Well, go to another city and talk to a local. Go to Cincinnati, Ohio. Go to Cleveland. Go to Charlotte. Wherever. People who grew up there, they're going to sort of feel the same way about where they grew up. They're going to say, well, because they're used to it. They're going to say, well, I guess it's fine. And here we are, visitors, like, this is awesome. I think it's just part of perception. I think it's really important for us as people who live in this region, cheerleaders, if you will, to keep that in mind. No matter who we're talking to, we are sort of representing that area. So I think it's something really to keep in mind. The New River Gorge is another good example, right? I mean, people travel from all around the world to go whitewater rafting, to do their outdoor activities, and they're going to probably come here at one point. They're going to go to Live in the Levee, and they're going to wake up that next morning and drive to Fayetteville an hour away, and they're going to go rafting all day. They're going to spend money in downtown Fayetteville. They may come back to Charleston. I mean, there's a lot to really consider, and we have the offerings, I think, to make sure that everyone stays entertained, stays fed. It's a really great time to be here.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I was actually reading something, Rick, online not long ago, and it was a national article, and I was reading the social media version of it, and they were talking about the hip places to go, and West Virginia made the list. And, of course, this is a nationwide thing, so you had those people saying, oh, it's all cousins married to each other, which is only partially true. We mostly wear shoes and everything here.
Right.
But the amount of people that make comments, Rick, about saying, I never thought much about West Virginia, and then I visited and I fell in love with it. And there was one particular comment from a lady from California that somehow her husband's family had relatives in West Virginia, and she ended up coming to visit these like second or third cousins. They ended up moving here, and she and her husband both worked remotely, so they had that ability, to do that. And they said, we absolutely love it here. We love the outdoors and things that, again, you and I may take for granted.
I had a neighbor, that exact same story, from California, moved here sight unseen. And they have taken up every single thing that Charleston has to offer, and they love it. And it's so great to see through those eyes. That's such a good point. It's again, I'll just say, it's if you haven't, for any listeners out there, if you haven't taken the opportunity to go to the CVB website, check out all the events happening coming up in the next couple months. All of our events are on there. Everybody else's events are on there. If you haven't taken that time, please do. There's something really for everybody.
All right, you have a couple texts here for you.
Okay.
All right. One text says, it'd be impressive if Upper West Washington Street got gentrified like Elk City.
Oh, geez. That word. Let's talk about that word for a second.
All right.
I'm happy to address that. Gentrification in its true form, as we see in larger cities. I've studied this for years. New Orleans, New York City. If we're talking about like areas like Queens and Brooklyn, certainly has been gentrified. That usually means that full neighborhoods have been completely, for lack of a better way to put it, cleared out and made way for huge corporations to come in and open huge banks and open huge chain restaurants and stores, and it prices people out that maybe 20, 15 years ago could afford it and can't now. That's not what has happened if we're talking about the Elk City District. That is not what's happened there. What's happened in the Elk City District is you've seen people tie up their bootstraps, property owners, a couple in particular, and taking their own money, mixed with going after grants, working nonstop to go after grant funding, doing everything they can to restore these buildings to bring them back to their former glory, and then recruit. In every case, locally owned businesses to occupy those spaces, and then residents to then occupy the spaces on the second and third floors. That's not gentrification. That is just revitalization of an area that I grew up here, right? I grew up literally 5 minutes from Washington Street West. I remember driving through Washington Street West in the 90s and the early 2000s, and it wasn't ideal. We're now seeing that change, and that is a good thing. Gentrification is not necessary. It's never a good thing when you're pricing people out of the neighborhoods they live in. So as far as lower or upper, I guess the far west, if I think that's what they're talking about, as far as that goes, we're seeing a little bit more investment happening there. We've seen a couple buildings come down, unfortunately. That's one of the reasons we're doing this survey, so we can find out the needs of the folks down there as well, and we can better serve them. And we'll see what happens with that. We want to hear from them directly. So I think that those results will yield positive results, and we'll be able to figure out what the needs are there more. But as far as gentrification goes, that is not what's happened.
All right. Let me get you this text and we'll let you go. It says, how does Charleston move past being a city a person could experience in less than 5 hours? Things to do seem to involve a lot of time in the car traveling to different places.
Are they asking you can experience? Are they saying that you can experience everything within 5 hours?
I think that's the way I'm reading this here. How do you move past being a city a person can experience in less than 5 hours?
Okay.
Things... I guess what they're saying is that if you come downtown, for example, and I'm not trying to put words in this texter's mouth or put characters, I guess you would say.
Right.
If a person comes to one of these events downtown, Foreman Dome or the pub crawls or whatever, if they're going to truly experience it, they're going to have to get in a car and then in turn drive somewhere else. So I guess but that's more of I don't know how you get by that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a perception thing. I think to a degree, I think that the city is actually very walkable. I think that the city of Charleston has done a great job of making sure our crosswalks are properly marked. If you really experience as a pedestrian the city, you can really walk anywhere. I think, again, that is something that have grown up here. We drove everywhere. We want to park right in front of the front door of the place we're going and then get back in our car and go to the next place. That's really, I think, a West Virginia mentality, and I'm not speaking negatively about that. That's just how I think we've all grown up.
Right, yeah.
And I think I know our organization is trying to do better at promoting the walkability of the entire city. one thing that's really interesting, I'll just go ahead and bring this up. With our lighting project, we've done a lot of research and studies on Washington Street, Washington Street and that main corridor there that crosses Pennsylvania Avenue, both parts north and south, right? That is not the most pedestrian-friendly area to walk from the bridge downtown into the Elk City district or the west side. We know that. The city has done the best job they possibly can of having their crosswalks, crosswalks set to a place to where pedestrians have enough time to get across the street. But we understand it's not the most welcoming because traffic is coming at a very fast pace. It can be a little intimidating. So that's something we're looking at, but there may not be a whole lot we can do. That is a state road, and that's a little more challenging. But the city is very walkable. And you can walk from place to place, I think, effectively if you really want to.
All right, Rick, as always, pleasure to have you on the show. Give us the info, the contact information, website, so on and so forth for Charleston Urban Works organization.
So we're still working on the website.
Okay.
Everything will be available on Facebook at the Charleston Urban Works Facebook page. We will be releasing that survey publicly here in the next week or two.
Okay.
And we'll be first reaching out to the businesses, one-on-one because they're our target audience. Yeah. But we'll be making that available publicly as well.
Right.
So
we'll have you back on to talk about it then.
That's right. Thanks so much, Dave.
Rick Cavender from Charleston Urban Works. It's 9:42. Phone calls from Dave Allen Show and 580 Live are brought to you by Biggly Piggly Wiggly. If you're a member of their digital club, there's a special deal for your Easter dinner. Log on for a $4 off savings on a ham shank or butt portion. Limit one per household with a $35 purchase. See them for all the details. And text to the Dave Allen Show service of Fruth Pharmacy. Find the perfect over-the-counter hearing aid at Fruth with NuvaMed hearing aids. Plus, Fruth makes it easier to transfer your prescription services to them. Fruth is your hometown family pharmacy. Back after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses care for your family.
Thrive with 5 at the best community bank in the Kanawha Valley, Poca Valley Bank. Poca Valley Bank is now offering a certificate of deposit special, 10-month APY, annual percentage yield 5%. Take advantage of this great rate to grow your savings. For more information, stop by a Poca Valley Bank location today or call 844-782-2651. Poca Valley Bank, where relationships matter. Certain terms and conditions apply. Rates based on minimum annual percentage yield. Subject to change without notice. Minimum deposit required of $10,000 of new money not currently on deposit with Poca Valley Bank to receive APY. Member FDIC.
Thanks to the leadership of State Senator Eric Nelson, West Virginia's economy is stronger than ever. State Senator Eric Nelson helped control government spending and then passed the largest tax cut in state history. The Coalition for a Stronger West Virginia would like to thank State Senator Eric Nelson for standing up for our families. West Virginians have more jobs and lower taxes, all due to State Senator Eric Nelson, paid for by the Coalition for a Stronger West Virginia, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Hey, aren't you that chef that's running for magistrate?
I am the chef that's running for magistrate. I'm incumbent magistrate Gary Sheff, SHEFF. I'm the only chef on the ballot. I'd appreciate your vote and the opportunity to continue to serve Kanawha County as Division 9 magistrate.
This message is paid for by the Committee to Keep Magistrate Gary Sheff, Greg Silverman, Treasurer.
Thank you for your support. I'm Gary Sheff, and I approve this message.
For too long, liberal activist judges have been in power. All while we're losing jobs, criminals go free, and the drug problem gets worse. It's time for a fresh face in the courthouse.
I'm Ashley Deem, a lifelong Republican running in the nonpartisan race for Kanawha County Circuit Judge. Born and raised in Kanawha County, I understand the challenges our families face.
Ashley Deem is a conservative who will be tough on crime and apply the law fairly. Vote for Ashley Deem for Circuit Judge. Paid for by the committee to elect Ashley Deem for judge.
It's 15 till 10, 9:45. Dave Allen Show. 580 Live is brought to you by Bridge Valley. If you're interested in improving your company's IT workforce, you may want to know Bridge Valley offers custom-tailored IT training to bridge the skills gap. At Bridge Valley, you can train for little or no cost with a 50-50 salary match, and they can also supply skilled graduates and apprenticeships for your company. Visit bridgevalley.edu/apprenticeships today for more information. Text says, Dave, what was the final consensus on the officiating of the WVU Iowa game? Well, as I said, I watched most of the game. There seemed to definitely be a disparity in the number of fouls that were called against West Virginia as opposed to Iowa. Was there some great conspiracy? I don't know. I tend not to be in all forms of my life a conspiracy theorist. But it did seem a little bit lopsided, as everyone has pointed out. Texas, you keep saying it'll be decades until businesses recover from the pandemic. Share the data on which you rely. I don't think any exist to support your position. Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted, Texter. We'll see what I can come up with. Basically, it's anecdotal and talking to business owners. That's basically it. But see if I can get something a little bit more concrete. Very, very good point by Texter. Texter says you can't even go through the State Museum in 5 hours if you study all the exhibits, says a Texter. Texter, this was a follow-up from the text that said, how do we move past Charleston being a city that you can experience in less than 5 hours? Follow-up text says, I meant like going to different towns. If you want to visit Charleston, I want to stay there and do things, not drive to Fayetteville for something else to do, says a texter. Coming up on tomorrow's show, Senator Eric Tarr is going to be here. It's also opening day for the Reds. Jeff Jenkins, Dale Cooper will join me to talk about that. Plus, Renee Lester there's a program going on at West Virginia State University that is designed to get clothing items for those that are about to enter the workforce of all ages. I mean, you have a recent graduate and they want to go in a job interview. People actually, and this is going to kind of bring me to my next point, there are still people that actually do job interviews. Even if it's on camera, on Zoom, expected to be dressed up. Sometimes you're a college student, again, of any age, it's difficult to get the right clothing. Well, they're trying to fix that at West Virginia State. We'll talk to Renee Lester about that. Plus, Senator Joe Manchin will be on tomorrow's show as well. Hoppy coming up at Talkline at 10:06. Senator Shelley Moore Capito is on the show today. Jeff Jenkins will discuss what, again, I'm about to get into here in just a bit, and that is the Justice Administration ordering some workers who have been working remotely to come back to the office. Good luck with that. Brad McElhenney is going to stop by to get into a bunch of bills that the governor has yet to sign or veto, including the vaccine veto bill, although I am hearing some chatter that he is going to probably veto the vaccine bill. That's what I'm hearing. Hoppy will have more of that coming up at 10:06. Also, WVU women's basketball coach Mark Kellogg is on the show today. Former Charleston Mayor Danny Jones. Talkline with Hoppy Kirchner will come up at 10:06 from the Encova Studios at the Dale Miller Building in Morgantown. Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you in part by Pinnacle Consultants. We spend 90% of our time indoors. Our health risk for air pollution can be greater indoors than out. Pinnacle Consultants, the only accredited commercial lab in the state for asbestos and mold. Visit pinnaclecorp.net because what you don't know can hurt you. All right, I referenced this earlier, and I know Brad and Hoppy are going to get into it. Actually, I think it's Jeff and Hoppy are going to get into it next hour. Lead story, WVMetroNews.com, by the aforementioned Mr. Jenkins. The Justice Administration has ordered any remaining state workers who have been working remotely since the pandemic to get back to the office. Chief of Staff Brian Abraham, in an interview with Metro News, says there was a general return to work order issued in 2021 as the pandemic was winding down. But he says that he's learned that not all state agencies have been following that order. Abraham basically saying that even after the order, many department heads were still letting people work from home or somewhere else remotely without the knowledge of the administration. Now, the administration also learned that some agencies have been using the lure of allowing people to work from home as, for lack of a better term, bait, maybe playing one agency against the other one. Now, during the interview, Chief of Staff Abraham says that the administration received complaints from agencies saying basically, in some cases, workers were leaving one agency to go to work to another one just so they could work from home. There are around 40,000 state workers, and Brian Abraham said they really don't know how many of those workers have remained on remote status since the pandemic, but did say that the administration has now made it clear to all cabinet secretaries that this new return to work order policy applies to all workers, with the exception of those who were exempt and working from home prior to the pandemic. Now, some state workers work a hybrid schedule where they report in person, maybe a couple days a week. Now, that is going to be eliminated. According to Abraham, the whole working from home thing, of course, is very problematic to businesses in general. And I want to get into that a little bit later on in this whole mindset. And my producer, Ryan Nicholson, is a bit younger than I am at 53. I'm not exactly sure how old Ryan is, but I'll say he's younger than I am.
I'm 26.
26. I have headphones older than you, man. So I'm going to ask Ryan, because I want to kind of get Ryan's perspective from a young dude's perspective, but I'm going to take the break first, and I got a couple texts to get to as well. But Dave Allen Show on 580 Live brought to you in part by General Hardware of Winfield and Milton, General Lumber of Winfield. If you got a big or small project coming up this spring, shop locally. Shop General Hardware and General Lumber. Visit generalhardware.com. Back after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses have been creating jobs in West Virginia since 1997.
Career politicians in Charleston and Washington are taxing our families too much. Let's vote for a Republican that will fight for us. Republican Dwayne Duncan, running for Kanawha County Commission, wants to cut taxes for all our families. Dwayne Duncan wants more jobs, lower taxes, and safer communities. Dwayne Duncan is a job creator and believes you should keep more of your hard-earned money. Let's vote for lower taxes and more jobs. Let's vote for Republican Dwayne Duncan for Kanawha County Commission.
Paid for by Dwayne Duncan for County Commission. Tori DeCubo, Treasurer.
Thanks to the leadership of State Senator Eric Nelson, West Virginia's economy is stronger than ever. State Senator Eric Nelson helped control government spending and then passed the largest tax cut in state history. The Coalition for a Stronger West Virginia would like to thank State Senator Eric Nelson for standing up for our families. West Virginians have more jobs and lower taxes, all due to State Senator Eric Nelson, paid for by the Coalition for a Stronger West Virginia, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Hey, aren't you that chef that's running for magistrate?
I am the chef that's running for magistrate. I'm incumbent magistrate Gary Sheff, SHEFF. I'm the only chef on the ballot. I'd appreciate your vote and the opportunity to continue to serve Kanawha County as Division 9 magistrate.
This message is paid for by the Committee to Keep Magistrate Gary Sheff, Greg Silverman, Treasurer.
Thank you for your support. I'm Gary Sheff, and I approve this message.
The impact of Special Olympics extends far beyond the athletes themselves. Volunteers and supporters touched by the unwavering determination of these extraordinary individuals find immeasurable fulfillment in their involvement. This inclusive approach embraced by Special Olympics fosters an environment where everyone plays a vital role. West Virginia, enriched in collaboration with Huntington, invites you to witness the transformative power of Special Olympics. See a video highlighting the Special Olympics at facebook.com/580WCHS. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you in part by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. If you're injured, visit forthepeople.com. Text says, Dave, the Baltimore bridge collapse has prompted discussions of can it happen here? West Virginia's problem is that bridges are not maintained. Look at the Washington Street Bridge, for example. Being a bridge engineer, there are several bridges that I didn't cross, says a texter. Texter says, we need to utilize the river more. In the city of Charleston, that would bring in a lot of money. Texas says, there was no conspiracy around the WVU game, but the officials certainly had a strong bias in favor of Iowa. You should watch the video replays of the officials allowing Caitlin Clark to aggressively push WVU defenders away so she could take open shots. The officials simply allowed her to do it. It was pretty bad. Text says, kudos to Governor Abraham for ordering these workers back to the office. Yes, Brian Abraham is actually the guy running the state day to day, says a texter. Text says, Governor Justice works from home. Is he being ordered back to work? Text says, dude, Jim Justice has been doing remote press conferences for like 4 years and hasn't stayed in the governor's mansion for about 7. And he has the audacity to end remote work, says a texter. Text says, so everybody reports to work except the governor. I had a feeling that was going to be coming. So basically, as part of this, Brian Abraham talked about the fact that a lot of workers complain about the price of gas or having to take care of a sick parent or whatever, which I thought was a good point. But if you are taking care of a sick parent or you're a parent that's got 4 or 5 kids at home, how much work are you actually getting done? And how important is the ability to work from home to different people? I am a person, because I'm old, that actually likes getting up and having a place to go. I did work at home for a time. As a matter of fact, when I was a state employee, one part of the staff worked from home. But this was well before the pandemic. I didn't really care for it myself. Ryan, a relatively young guy at the age of 26. I hear this a lot, Ryan. I say that with young people, I hear people say, with young people, they want the ability to work remotely. Mm-hmm. Is that Is that really a thing?
Yes, of course it is. I think there's a multitude of reasons. Every person's situation is unique, but I think generally commuting to work is just another expense. Think about it this way. If you have a car and you drive to work, not only do you have to pay for gas, but you also have to pay for maintenance on your car. And that just adds another siphon away from your paycheck. And if you stay at home, hey, you have some more income and you also get to stay in a stress-free environment. So,
well, it depends on your home.
Yeah, it does depend on your home. But I think generally at least the Gen Z attitude towards office environments, it's similar to the movie Office Space,
Yes,
it's
classic movie.
Stifling environment, no creativity, all humanity is stripped, and you just become another guy pecking away at a keyboard.
Now, you're not talking about here, of course.
Oh, no.
Other places. Places. But, it is interesting that there's a couple different factors here. There are studies, and you can track anything that anybody does if they're working remotely. You can see when they're online and so on and so forth. One agency that I am familiar with fielded a lot of phone calls, and during the pandemic, they could send somebody home with a laptop, and they could sit there with their headset on. And we found, and when I was working there, that they actually many of them took more phone calls and got more work done at home than they did when they were in the office.
Yeah.
And there's a variety of reasons for that. Maybe they weren't spending like we do, 30 minutes, standing around saying, what are we ordering for lunch today? Or what did you watch on TV or something? Or what did you stream last night? So, I guess I get that, but if it's worked for so many years, for so many generations, why do we feel the need to change it?
I think now it's because with the advent of remote working, the boundary between company time and break time is starting to blur. When you're at home, you can take a break whenever you want. It's not
you can if you have a meeting, but I get what you're saying.
To a certain extent, you can have a break whenever you want. It's not relegated to, I've only got 1 or 2 hours at noon for lunch, and then I have to be back in the office. And also, it encourages you to get more work done so you can get to that break time quicker, and you have more time within that break time. It's just a matter of efficiency towards the break time, you know?
It's a very interesting, and it has changed. And again, this was starting to change a little bit before the pandemic, I think, because as I said, there were state agencies that had people that were working from home. And a lot of times it was cost saving. It was actually better to have people working at home. And I was talking to a friend in the real estate business about this, and he said, I got office buildings that are sitting blank because people want to work from home. And I'll close with this. That in one particular company that I'm aware of, I was talking to somebody who I'm very close to that happens to, live with me, not my cat. That one of the first things when they talk to people, when they're interviewing them, they say, "Can I work from home?" It's not how much do I make or whatever. It's can I work from home? It's just an interesting dynamic in the way that things have changed. All right, Ryan, I appreciate your 26-year-old perspective. Signed off old guy here. I'm on the front lawn, shaking my fist at people. That's what I do. All right, Ryan, I appreciate it, man. Coming up on the show tomorrow, as I said, Joe Manchin is here. Eric Tarr is here. We're going to talk about this program at West Virginia State and opening day for the Cincinnati Reds tomorrow. All right, I will see you then. Till then, have fun and love somebody and get back to work.
580 WCHS AM, 96.5 FM Charleston, 104.5 Cross Lanes, a WVRC media station. We're proud to live here too.